Hello, cybersecurity enthusiasts and hacking newbies. Welcome to episode 2 of Learning to Hack with Helen. My name is Helen Oakley, and I welcome you. Today, we will talk a little bit about web application penetration test, what it is about, and a little demo at the end. So, we are learning to hack because it's the only way we can rebuild cybersecurity, because we want to embrace ethical hacking rather than being in paralyzing fear of not understanding it. So let's learn a little bit more together. I've mentioned in the past episodes about kill chain and how many different activities and types of penetration test can be done within the end-to-end attack kill chain, that multiple tools can be involved and even multiple people with different type of expertise. And we covered a little bit of different types of penetration tests. So today, like I said, we'll look a little bit closer at web applications. So web applications have made life easier and more convenient for all of us, but everything comes at the cost. The apps are on the internet are available and prone to data and security breaches, and those require a security mechanism to avoid any malicious activities. So due to the growth of technology, and web applications are the most common targets for attackers. So, and those should be protected, and pet testing should be one of the priorities that is done. Now, web application pen testing, of course, will help organizations secure business and secure the sensitive data and make them aware of the flaws and loopholes. So when it comes to frequent testing, of course, automation tools are winners. There is no way around it, and it's a huge part of penetration test. But even the most sophisticated automation tools cannot come around all possible scenarios. And regardless of the intelligence of the tools, AI or else, they will still miss some of the vulnerabilities. So according to OWASP, every application has a different business process and application-specific logic that can be manipulated in an infinitive number of ways. Not all issues can be found through automation. As an example, I'll give you a little logical example, which includes application logic, but also an injection flaw. Imagine, for example, and I think it's very easy to imagine because we all do online shopping these days, right? So an e-commerce site allows users to add items to a cart, to view summary of the page, right, of your purchase order, and then pay for your purchase. So what if they could go back to the summary page, maintain their same valid session, and inject a lower cost for an item to complete the payment transaction? So this vulnerability includes the logic flow, but also an injection flow. And we have all kind of cases like that. So vulnerabilities like this and also authorization issues will always require human touch. And this is why we learn web application testing. And after we're done with all the automation tools as part of the overall penetration test, we will also perform some manual spot checks across application. So speaking of us, top 10, you might recognize those on my list here. So let's take a look a little bit closer at XSS, which is cross-site scripting. It's one of the 10 top 10 vulnerabilities. Actually, it takes number 7. So remember Fortnite? Fortnite had a very large leak or very large breach back in 2019. Actually, this breach was going on since 2018 into 2019. But anyway, the point is that it affected 200 million users. That's a lot, right? And I believe the lawsuits are still ongoing. I haven't heard any updates on this case. And it affected those users through stolen accounts and passwords. and in-game currency. So what happened there? Users would be redirected from Epic Games' main login page. So there was a flaw, XSS flaw on the login page, to an old and unsecure Epic Games page where authentication tokens were stolen through the injected JavaScript code. Some other cases for XSS vulnerability that you might heard from the news, but maybe didn't really map if it was XSS, was British Airways in 2018, where it affected 380,000 users with actually transactions, sorry, not users, transactions with credit card details. And also eBay had a significant XSS vulnerability in 2016. So those are still happening, and OWASP is still recognizing as one of the top vulnerabilities, even in the latest applications. So let's talk a little bit, what is cross-site scripting? So cross-site scripting is an attack where the hacker will take advantage of an XSS vulnerability to execute a malicious JavaScript when users visit your page. As we've learned from the mentioned examples in the past slide, the consequences from XSS attack can be very drastic. So also to know that XSS attacks are different from SQL injection attacks, because they are intended to attack users of an application rather than the application itself. So how it works? So basically, the hacker will inject the code, such as malicious JavaScript, into an output of an online application. There are a number of vulnerable places that they will be able to accomplish through, for example, input fields, your forums or comments, and of course the cookies. So the primary aim of the hacker will be to collect the cookie data. Why? Because cookies are often used to store sensitive information, such as usernames, passwords, or even financial data in some cases. Yeah, so to give you an idea of what a hypothetical cross-site scripting attack would look like on your website, let's say that your website has a message board that allows visitors to submit some comments. And during the demo at the end, we'll go through some examples. So you will see actually with your eyes how it looks like. So we have a comments, some sort of a comment boards, right? The comments would be stored in the database online, and then to be displayed in other visitors to other visitors without any encoding. So a hacker would simply need to post a comment with a malicious script in it and enclosed by the script tags. Yeah, and sometimes we have to work around the script tags as well, because if there is some sort of a prevention implemented, but there are workarounds, which we also review. So then when another visitor, for example, so they have posted that comment, when another visitor views the comment, the script will be executed because the page is loaded and script is executed on output. And that information is going to be either presented, or something is going to be, maybe a cookie will be stolen, the session cookie from the visitor who visited the page with the malicious code embedded. So the script will run under a context, right, of like a secure website. So your browser will not be able to discriminate between the content that is malicious and the content that is the good content on the website. So this is why it can be quite dangerous. And this type of XSS is referred as a persistent XSS attack. So it's stored. Yeah. Okay. There are other types of cross-site scripting types which we could review later on. But let's talk a little bit about pen testing methodology. So just like in a kill attack chain, we have very similar steps, maybe more focused on web application though. We start with the planning phase. Planning phase is very crucial because this is when we make decisions on decisions that will affect further stages of the web application pen testing methodology, right? And this defines the scope, the time duration, and who involved, right? What people are involved in this penetration test, and also the whole process. So it's very important to define those details and specify ahead of time. And then we have pre-attack phase, which is also called as discovery and assessment phase, and can be referred as passive and active reconnaissance. So in this information gathering phase of the web application pen testing, it's when it provides testers with the necessary information to perform the efficient pen test later on the website and to discover different risks and security potential issues. So during this test, maybe not everything will be discovered, and it's not proven that it's an issue. It hasn't been exploited, but it definitely will provide a lot of information in order to work through those issues later on and prove that those are exploits. It also can provide things like infrastructure information, what versions of application and application server are being installed in database, which would have their own possible vulnerabilities. And also not to forget the open source components that are also a huge risk to web applications, because we all like to work fast, and why reinvent the wheel when something is great, is already available, so we can reuse it. But with this convenience, as always, as in everything, some risks are also existing. So those kind of information will be gathered. And by the way, in one of the previous sessions as well, I did a little bit of Google Docs. It's part of the reconnaissance. It's part of the passive reconnaissance, and it has interesting examples about open source components. If you use, for example, a plugin for Twitter or any social media, or maybe something else, that you can find if that plugin has vulnerabilities, exploits, actually, not just vulnerabilities, exploits, and see if the targeted website has any of them. So it's a very important phase. Cannot stop emphasizing that. And then we have the attacking phase. Yeah, or here on the slide, I also called it as exploration phase, and it's marked, it's highlighted because that's where we're gonna stay around for this session. Just for the time being, we will look at a little bit of techniques how to exploit the cross-site scripting. And last but not least is a report. So of course, once you executed all the steps, it's very important to document the whole process, the findings and recommendation, to make sure that it's also explained in understandable language. So different stakeholders, different people who are involved in consuming this report can easily understand what it means and what are the risks that coming with potential vulnerabilities, exploits, and other recommendations, or lack of adopting those recommendations. Let's put it this way. Okay, we have so many tools, and actually Pen Tester Toolbox has enormous amount of abilities and all kind of different areas. Why? Because well, first of all, web application also is a large area, but if you work beyond web application, if you also look at the networking, of course, the toolbox will grow. Now here, I just mentioned a few examples. There are more. So the point I wanted to make here, that we'll go a few points here. First of all, Dust tools, those are dynamic application security testing. And those tools are running tests on the runtime, such as Zap. Zap Attack Proxy is the open source tool. It's free. And today I'll show you a little bit of how it looks and how it works. So you can also download and play with it and use it together, for example, with OWASP Juice Shop. Both of them are done by OWASP projects, and you can work through both of them. So speaking of OWASP Juice Shop, this is the training platform. It's a website, very vulnerable website. It has different challenges and you can solve them. You can learn how it works. You can come back and see it again. It's being refreshed on a daily basis. So you have an opportunity to start fresh next day if something didn't work out or so. Anyway, on the same type of the tool or training tool, we have Hack the Box. So I like Hack the Box, and maybe sometime in the future, I'll show you as well a few interesting ways how to learn hacking with Hack the Box. It has a lot of challenges on web application, but also a whole bunch of other challenges on other areas as well in ethical hacking. So definitely, if you're learning, go check this out as well. And you can learn with Juice Shop, and you can learn with Hack the Box, and there are also several other tools similar to that. Code Warrior is the open source SaaS tool, so static application security testing. It's a tool that's running through the source code, and usually enterprises they will buy a tool that is actively maintained, that costs a license subscription or whatever that deal is going to be, and continuously scan their code during the development and before the production. Now, Code Warrior is open source, so we have to keep in mind that it's built upon the community, and not all rules might be up to date, up to the latest and greatest. But anyway, this could be a good start if you would like to learn how to use that tool and how to scan your own code with this static code analysis tool. And then we have other tools such as SQL Map, Nmap, Metasploit. I covered a couple of them briefly in the previous sessions, and we will eventually cover them as well and go through them. Very useful for web application testing as well, but not only, they go way beyond web application testing. So stay tuned. Maybe next time we'll look more closer on those tools. And now we're gonna go into the showtime. All right, so I have here open OWASP Zap proxy, and it's clean because I'm gonna show you how to launch and how to basically start the first time, your very first application perhaps, and I do recommend to use Juice Shop. It will be the easier way to start. Please do not try to test any websites that are not meant for training, or even your work website or anything, right? It's actually illegal. You need to get authorization for that. But with Juice Shop, because it's meant for training, of course, you can do that. And that's what we're going to do. So Zap is one of the most popular tools, right? It's for auditing and security. And this tool can help you to detect security vulnerabilities on your web application and help you with testing. It acts as a middleman proxy between your browser, as a tester, your browser, and the web application. So it intercepts the traffic, right? And can moderate some messages, and you can even update messages and so on. Anyway, it has many different features, and it's also a great tool to start if you are trying to learn some penetration test. but also as seasoned penetration tester, it has very good features, and you definitely can continue using it even later on. So let's start with manual explore. So here I have already put JuShop website, and I will launch the browser, Firefox, and it will open on my other monitor in a moment. And I will drag it here. I think I have issues with my network today. It's a bit slow. So please be patient with me. Hopefully everything will work, right? That's about the demos. Okay, so I have here already some web pages loaded. I'm gonna dismiss some messages. Yes, I want all the cookies, of course. And I will show you also development tools, web developer tools here, and we'll go into the network tab. We'll drag it a little bit higher because we're going to start loading. So what I want to show you here is that we have very similar things that's going on both the browser and the app. Still loading. Here you go. All right. So about cross-site scripting, we talked about different inputs fields and what can be done. So we have here input field for the search, right? So first thing I would ever do is to see if I can invoke an alert message using a simple JavaScript for alert message. And what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna paste it here and enter. Okay, so nothing happened here, and it looks like this website has actually some very basic or very high level protection against JavaScript or potentially XSA. So this means we can go actually around, we can go around this by using HTML elements. And as an example here, I will use the HTML element for an iframe. So I'll create just a blank iframe and I'll try to invoke the message. And here is my message. Very simple, just XSS, right? You see the iframe is invoked in the back. I'm gonna click OK. Now, what happened? Let's take a look at our network. And here we have at the bottom, we have a few different requests and response. So I need to reload this again. Let's go down. So notice right now I have reloaded my screen, but my XSS here appeared again. So we have persistent cross-site scripting vulnerability here. Now let's go to the post on the browser and the network development tool. If you can spot, I know it's very fine font, but here we have a request that shows the message, right? And we have a response as okay. On other side in Zap, because it intersects as well, we also have the same message. Never mind the challenge. Actually, challenge is something that JuShop has, and it collects if you provide the challenge response or answer, then it will mark that you passing the challenge. So read a little bit more about JuShop. It's sort of like a capture the flag in a way, right? So you provide a flag or a challenge, you solve the challenge. Anyway, ignore that. But you see the message here that we have a JavaScript masked in the iframe, and we have alert XSS. Okay, and same response. What we can do is we can also replay. And right now it has bad response, but we can replay and we can also fuzz and attack the same response and modify our messages. Now, the next thing that is usually done is we want to see if we're able to collect some cookies, and if application would allow you to do that. So in similar manner, but right now I'm not gonna do the alert message. I will actually print them in console log. So here is console. And right now it just has some messages, but it doesn't have anything else. So what I want to print is the document.cookie, which is basically just my current cookie. And I'll press enter. And here is the printed cookie. So now I know that it's responding and I can perhaps manipulate a little bit around cookies. I can also try different ways. So another way to obfuscate your code, and yes, there are many ways, and there are also ways for the browsers, very specific to browsers, like some tricks and tips in Firefox or so on. So here I'm using the image element and I'm gonna do the alert. So you can work around in many different ways, right? And here I have my cookie alert message, right? And I can do okay. And same way, whatever I've done right now, I can also see it in my network on the browser. So I can learn about the request and response and see if I can work further from those vulnerabilities and try to exploit them. So now we know that cookie can be printed, and we had also the pop-up with cookies. So the next thing, what is very interesting, if we can send a cookie to an evil website. So let's say I have a website. I don't have it, but let's imagine I do, right? Let's say I open here. So here, again, sorry, it's a very small font, but I will read it to you. So we have image, right? Screen, we have JavaScript, document create element. So we're creating element obfuscating an image. And then we have a website, some evil website.com. It's not real. And then we have an action of low cookies on that website. So technically what happens is that the cookie that is logged on, with this current user, the session cookie and all relevant information can be sent to that website. And then whatever the purpose is, those attackers will misuse it in different ways. Yeah, so if I enter it here, you can also see the URL. And a couple interesting things. So now we have some thoughts about phishing, perhaps, right? If we have URL that can be embedded some script with the URL, and then we can do some encoding as well, right? And we can use the tiny links or some shady URLs that generate, an obfuscate. So this is how it can be included in a phishing email, and user clicks and they think they went to a good website. And even if it's a good website and you already logged into that website, so that cookie, for example, could be sent into an evil website or some evil server, and session could be stolen, and other information could be also stolen. Okay, just to finish on a very fun note, let me show you something, a final trick. So we talked about stealing, but you can also mess up with the website. Obviously, you can try something. You can make something appear. You can change the fonts and do all kind of fun stuff. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go to YouTube and I'm gonna show you a little trick. So on YouTube, I've navigated to a video for Mr. Bean. And I'm just gonna scroll down a little bit. And when I share, I will start at actually 10 seconds. No, I don't want it to sound yet. So, okay, share. I'll start at 10 seconds and I want to embed it. So I click on embedded code. Okay. Start at 10 seconds. So here is the option start at 10 seconds. So I have this code, I will copy it. And guess what? I'm gonna put it right here. It's already predefined code for me to embed this video and I will load it on our website. And here I'm messing with Mr. Bean on Juice Shop. I hope you can hear that too, right? All right. You can listen to that full video and watch a full video on YouTube, of course. Now, that's all for today's demo. So thank you so much for today's session. And I'm very happy you were able to join. As usually, we have more sessions coming up. So this was episode 2 for Web Application Penetration Test introduction, and we already have planned sessions for July and August. So please stay tuned. Soon enough, we will announce that to you. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask in the chat, on Cyber Exchange, on the reach out to me on any of the platforms, and looking forward to see you again at Learning to Hack with Helen. Bye.